This is an introduction video on the various types of three-dimensional geometric and organic forms. We use a low back chair as an example for oblique, isometric, 1-point and 2-point perspective. Let's go! Before we begin, we use an orthographic projection of the low back chair to help us visualize the oblique isometric first and second point perspective. Pay attention to how the guidelines are being established for the orthographic projection. Without the guidelines, it will be very difficult to draw and to plot exactly how the chair should be like in all the three views of the orthographic projection. Now we have the hidden lines. It may not be necessary at this point to have the hidden lines drawing on the orthographic projection, but if you are going to prepare this for an examination and going to show an orthographic projection, it would be good to include the hidden lines. For this purpose, it is not really necessary, but I've included it because I wanted to show how it should be done in a complete form. The first 3D form, we'll start with an oblique drawing. An oblique drawing is easy. It begins with a 2D view, and all you need to do is to choose either the side view or the front view, whichever best represents your oblique drawing. Look at this front view. Is this the way to start and begin an oblique drawing or a 3D drawing? No. You always start with a 3D box first. In this case, an oblique drawing box. The low back chair is a cube. If you take the length and the breadth to be the same, you will realize that if you draw the low back chair in the form of an oblique drawing, it will look very weird. Let's see. A cube is equal length, breadth, and height. So if you take an oblique drawing and draw a cube based on that dimension, you will realize that the object will look very long. So the solution is to use half the width or 2/3 of the width. Now this chair in oblique looks a little bit more decent than the previous one. So for the next drawing, I'll show the same oblique drawing, but the chair drawn in a different view. This example, we use the side view of the chair to project our oblique lines. And we'll use 3/4 of the width instead of half. If you're going to pick a view for your oblique drawing or any 3D drawing, you got to choose your views very carefully. In this case, the side view is chosen, and if you draw the oblique drawing projecting to the right, you'll realize that you'll be looking at the back of the chair. Not very wise. So I flip the chair, now I draw the back rest on the left. So if we project the lines of the oblique drawing to the right, what we are looking at is the side view of the chair. And the front, of course. We are quite done with oblique drawing. Next up, we're going to do isometric drawings. I'll introduce to you the basics of isometric drawing first. The orientations of the isometric drawings to the left and right are at 30 degrees to the horizontal, and they're all parallel. Vertical lines are parallel too, and they're at 90 degrees to the horizontal. To begin an isometric drawing, we pick the lowest point of the drawing. And nothing new here, we're going to draw a block and an isometric block before we draw anything else. If you're able to draw parallel lines well, you should have no problem drawing a very decent isometric drawing. The left and the right orientation of the isometric drawings are at 30 degrees to the horizontal, and they are parallel, remember that. And all the vertical lines are also parallel to each other. Now I'm going to flip and look at the chair from the right. One problem that the students have when they draw is when they draw the guidelines too dark. So when you draw the object, you can hardly tell the difference between the object and the guidelines, and the drawings usually becomes very complicated and messy. You have been very patient following me through the oblique and the isometric drawing. Now we move on to the one-point perspective. You may not know this, but let me tell you, the one-point perspective is very, very easy to do. I always like to say, if you can draw the oblique, you can draw the one point. The oblique drawing has parallel lines on all sides at 45 degrees. The one-point perspective, all you need to do is to choose either the side or the front view, and then instead of drawing parallel lines, you project the lines to the point. Next, you have to decide where you want the chair to end, how wide your object will be. Completing the back of the object is often the most challenging task for the students. But remember, always remember parallel lines. The back and the front are parallel to each other. If you know that, you should not have any problem completing the back of the object. Adding colors to the object is an option. However, adding outlines to the object is not an option. You must do it because that is the only way to differentiate your guidelines and the object. Finally, the two-point perspective. It may be interesting to know that oblique drawing and the one-point perspective are relatives, very close relatives, and the two-point perspective and the isometric drawings are another set of relatives. They are very similar. Just like the isometric drawing, we'll start from the lowest point. And you must have guessed that the two-point perspective has 2 points. One on the left and one on the right. And just as how you have projected the lines to the point in the one-point perspective, now you project the lines to the 2 points on the left and the right. Did you notice the vertical lines? They are all parallel. Now we use the guidelines and we complete the chair. When you put the drawings together and look at them as a whole, you realize that oblique drawing is the least realistic drawing and the two-point perspective drawing is the most realistic. So from the oblique to the isometric to the 1 point and the 2 point, from the least to the most realistic. Hey, if you like the video, subscribe and share it with your friends. Let me know what you want to learn, what you want to watch, and comment in the comment below. Cheers!